So I'm here with Roger Madden. I'm Jamie Hargrove, and today we're going to talk a little bit about living trust. Tell us a little more about, remind us about living trust and how they're utilized to avoid probate, and maybe whatever else you think the living trust serves its purpose.
Well, again, the living trust gives us the opportunity to take an asset, maintain control of the asset, maintain total beneficial aspects within that asset. So we're not giving anything up, sort of a transfer of right pocket to left pocket. But when we do that, that left pocket, that living trust, now any assets owned by it avoid the probate process.
Certainly, from a disability standpoint, our clients are getting older.
Yeah.
We're all getting older, right? And while a power of attorney, and we'll have a segment to talk about powers of attorney, are effective, living trust can be much more effective, and financial organizations seem to like them. So tell us about your thoughts about living trust and just disability planning.
Yeah, historically, we talked about the fact that we avoided probate. We had an opportunity for disability planning, and that is with a proper power of attorney and a living trust in place. If something happens to the client, we've got a mechanism where we can transfer assets in, a mechanism where we automatically get a successor trustee. So in essence, we're taking the purse strings, handing them to another fiduciary. Now the client with a disability is not charged with the financial responsibility, maintain 100% of the benefit, but we've got a third party set in stone, efficiently set there to basically take over and control the finances, see to the benefit of the client, and not have the exposures that disability otherwise would pose.
Yeah, so we see a lot of living trust have investment advisors built into the structure of that living trust, as Roger mentioned, so that maybe I'm going to handle my finances today and do all of that and direct it myself, but I recognize that maybe my wife or my kids, whoever is going to step in behind me, may not either have the time or the interest to do that. It would be nice if I've already got that structure set up, I have my financial advisors already named in my living trust, and at the point when things become challenging and I'm not able to handle things can be, if they aren't already in the living trust, can be moved in, and then and then it's structured the way I would have want them structured, right?
And there's probably a continuity of management because whoever the client has been using as their investment advisor, the accounts are probably already there in the name of the trust. So instead of, sort of the alternative would be no living trust, a disability occurs, now we've got to go have a guardian or custodian appointed. Now that guardian or custodian's making decisions about where indeed to place assets, who to manage assets. It's easier at that point to maybe lose some of the synergy the client has worked with the financial advisor in achieving. So we just get a better continuity in a situation where the living trust just continues. We just get a new trustee.
And Roger, we're seeing more and more where financial institutions, and particularly the larger financial institutions, and it's many times not their fault, the regulations that these large financial institutions are hit with today is really insane. But as a consequence, a lot of financial institutions aren't actually accepting powers of attorney anymore. But they accept living trust, right? What's your thoughts on that?
Regardless of state statute, regardless of what they're supposed to do, you're correct. We inevitably hit hiccups with just powers of attorney, whether they're a little bit older than they're comfortable with, or whether their procedures and the person reading that institution's procedures just doesn't really get what we're doing. So they're much more comfortable with living trust because, again, it's something that's established. Nothing really changed other than maybe a successor trustee.
Last thing I want to touch on, Roger, what living trusts don't do. So some people think that they're avoiding income taxes, they're avoiding estate taxes, they're avoiding Medicaid, nursing home, all those kinds of things. Maybe touch real quickly on what a living trust doesn't do.
Indeed, it does absolutely nothing from an income tax perspective. Living trust, by definition, is a grantor trust, which means it's alter ego of the creator of the trust, so we don't have an added gift tax return during the client's lifetime or added income tax return during the client's life. We don't remove assets from a taxable estate. They are still included in taxable estate. The assets still get a step up in basis at the client's death. So they really do nothing to move the tax needle one way or the other. They don't provide asset protection planning during the client's life. But otherwise, the problem being, a lot of people sell them as if they did. A lot of these fly-by-night seminars sort of mislead the client. The client thinks they've taken care of tax matters. They think they've got assets protected. They think they may have Medicaid planning involved. Just a lot of little tidbits the marketers throw that aren't really accurate.
That's right. So as good as a living trust is, and really my position when I first started practicing a lot of years ago was that maybe not everybody needs a living trust, but it really my mind has changed, and really everyone, in my opinion, needs a living trust, even smaller estates. Your accounts that are all online, you've got passwords. If all of those accounts and those items are now in your living trust, again, they're not going to close. You don't have to worry about password changes and all those things. So it just makes it easier to have that living trust as a transition of where you are today to the point where you're disabled or dead, and letting that next generation, that next family member, whether it's a spouse or children or others, to be more easily able to handle your affairs. So Roger, thanks for joining us today. It's been
Good stuff.
been fun.
Appreciate it.